Hari Om, Bhajagovindam chanting verses 26 till the end.
Kamam krodham lobham moham tyaktvatmanam pashyati soham Atmajnana vihina mudha te pachyante narakanigudha Yeyam Gita Nama Sahasram Dheyam Shripati Rupamajasram Neyam Sajjana Sange Chittam Deyam Dina Janaya Chavittam Sukhatah kriyate Rama bhogah paschadhanta sharire rogah Yadyapi loke maranam sharanam tadapi na munchati papacharanam Arthamanartham bhavaya nityam nasti tata sukhalesha satyam Putradapi dhana bhajam bhitihi sarvatra isha vihitaritihi Pranayamam pratyaharam nitya viveka vicharam Japya sameta samadhi vidhanam purvavadhanam mahadavadhanam Guru charanambuja nirbhara bhaktah samsarad chiradbhava muktah Sendriya manasa niyamadevam Drakshasi nija hridayastham devam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate Samprapte sannihite kale Nahi rakshati dukrin karane Nahi rakshati dukrin karane Nahi rakshati dukrin karane
Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu saha viryankaravavahe tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. After transcending your desires and its modifications, you can sit for this contemplation. And for contemplation, he gives the simple mantra, the beginning mantra for contemplation when you are attempting to is the Upanishads, they give this mantra, Soham, is given for a simpler contemplation. It is easy to practice. But remember, when I say it is easy to practice, it is to be done after you have transcended desires. So not before that. But however, you can learn what is this all about. Now, the Soham is Saha and Aham. So here, the easiest way of practicing, they say, they mean, you can use it on your, pattern of breathing. You can use it. Because when you inhale and exhale, when you are inhaling, you take this sound, so, and when you exhale, you say hum. This is the practice. So depending upon your, inhalation patterns and exhalation patterns, in this we don't concentrate much, unlike in pranayama, on holding the breath, all that. Here the focus is only on inhalation, exhalation. You inhale, you exhale. You inhale, you exhale. That's all. Holding the breath we are not discussing here. That we are not talking about. So that we will discuss later. When you go advanced practices, the very simple practice of pranayama is to keep breathing in and breathing out, breathing in, breathe out. So at that point of time, this mantra is recommended for people to practice. This is the position of that mantra. Then the philosophical implications are a lot, depending upon your expertise, depending upon your capacity to visualize and your capacity to associate. Because these mantras work based on your visualization capacity. If you can visualize it, you can take it. It is recommended, this mantra, for the initial practice of spiritual. We have to remind ourselves that we are supposed to do two things. I have to take in the positive qualities and drop negative qualities. Let all the good come inside me, and let all the negativities or bad that I carry in me go out. So Soham, we say. He is all good. He represents all goodness, all positivity, all divine qualities, all the divine things represent this sound, so. And all the negativities represent me. That you don't have to worry. That is very easy to understand. You are equal to negative, full stop. There is nothing good about us. Ego, no. When I say that, I don't mean you in person. what I'm referring to is that ego. All the negativities, clinging to my personality, all the wrong thoughts, low values, and negative thoughts and base, ideas. Let all that go out of me. So when I'm exhaling, this is the visualization you do. Now don't try all that too much, okay? It's just to give an idea, that's about it. Or not, at your stage, if you keep doing that, nothing will happen. Of course, one thing is good, your lung capacity will get better. That will happen for sure. But don't think you will become a divine person. Nothing of that will happen, please. Just the practice of breathing, is not going to make you a divine person. It will make you a healthy person. There's no doubt about it. But that will not make you a divine place. But along with that action, you can, visualize this also with the sound. So you associate that sound to this and to action. It becomes easier for application, practice. So therefore it is recommended. That is what he is saying here. Take this mantra, Soham, is done. But before that, he cautions, like a standard scriptural caution. You will find wherever they give any reference to the practices, this meditative techniques and this, that, all that, they will never miss to caution the qualification. The qualification is having transcended this, not for the transcendence. To transcend anger, you can't be doing Soham meditation, please. Nothing will happen. You see, you will not transcend. You will only suppress it. You cannot transcend, remember. Then the student asks the question to the master, says, sir, having transcended, I have to practice this, you are saying, but how am I to transcend the desires? To transcend the desires, you have to do a different thing. Because the problem that we carry has two dimensions to it, they say. One is the obstacles where of masculine in nature, two is feminine in nature. There are two types of problems we have. One is masculine problem, active. Another one is passive problem. Now, first you have to handle the masculine problem before you go to handle the feminine problem of your personality, which is inner and outer. Generally, we refer that as inner problem and outer problem. Outer problem is masculine problem. Inner problem is what is referred as feminine problem. To handle that feminine problem, we give this method. But before you go to this feminine problem, you have to first clear the masculine problem, male. That's what he says. There are two diseases referred in the Shastras. We have two problems. There are two diseases being inflicted. Everyone suffers from those two diseases, masculine and feminine. Masculine nature of problem and feminine nature of problems. Direct, active, external, masculine. Indirect, passive, internal, feminine. It's just names, please. Don't take it literally, because you can associate very easy. External you can associate with masculine. Femininity is more of internal. So there are, therefore we give this terms. That's about it. But there's nothing to do with man and woman, please. There's no reference to that. But it is with reference to the two qualities of the disease. The spiritual disease that we suffer has two aspects to it. One is, one side of the coin is the masculine aspect. Other side of the coin is the feminine aspect. The masculine aspect of the problem is the external problems, manifested, surfaced. The subtler problem is the unmanifest problem, which is the disease is referred as feminine problem. So after you have conquered this masculine, you go to this feminine. Suppose if you are not planning to work on these things, suppose if a person says, no, I'm not interested in all these things. Now let me live my life, that's all. Don't ask me to do all this. Too much of work you are asking me to do. This much Allah, I'm not interested in doing all this. I'm not convinced about all these things, Ishwaran. Well, there are people nowadays, they say that. They don't say, I'm not interested. You didn't convince me. You put the blame on us. I'm not convinced, that fellow says. Now, who cares whether you are convinced, you are not convinced? When you suffer from a disease, you don't go to the doctor and say, I'm not convinced with your medication. What is the reply you will get from the doctor? He will say, so what? Pay the fees and get out. That's all. He doesn't care. Doctor cannot be coming behind you and saying, please take the medicine, do me a favor. No doctor will do it. So he says, you suffer this. Hell means a state of agitated mind is called hell. So don't take hell to be a geographical place. It's a state of disturbed mind. Hell means not an ordinary disturbance. extraordinary disturbance. That agitation is too much to take. It's beyond your capacity to handle agitation. Like physically, you can understand. Each one of us have the threshold, to handle physical pain. You get an injection. How much you don't scream. There are people who do that also, right? They scream for taking a small injection, but you have that capacity to take in. When a mosquito bite happens, you don't jump out and start crying and all that. You don't do that. And there are people who can have a fracture and be quiet. He has a fracture and he is quiet. It's unbelievable how they can, withstand the pain. The threshold is there physically. Similarly, we also have the capacity to handle the mental agitation. To some extent, you can manage this disturbance. You can manage. Now, this is where the problem is for life. Like the psychiatrist who did a fantastic research. What he did was, he took a frog and he had that, boiling water, really hot water, brought it to a good temperature water. He dropped the frog in that water. It jumped out immediately. It jumped out of that water, hot water. Then he took the same frog again, had put that water in a normal room temperature water and started heating it. But for heating, he used candles, not gas. You see, candle. The candle, he was heating that water, heating. And so slowly the heat is increasing. And he's found surprisingly, the water came to that same temperature which it had earlier, where the frog jumped out. Now the water is in the same temperature, the frog is not jumping out, it is still there. And he thought, so he continued to heat. And the frog never jumped out. It died. In the heat, it died, but it never jumped out. He was surprised. What is happening? There's a time he found, every time the frog is sitting inside, it had the capacity to adjust itself to that heat. Adjust. And it was so cozy initially. It was so comfortable. That comfort, it adjusted. It never wanted to jump out of it. It's dead in that. Amazing, experiment. The man says. What does it show, sir? Exactly what our life is. You get a problem, you adjust. You get another problem, you adjust. You get another problem, you adjust. You get another problem, you adjust. One way of lifestyle. There are people who jump out. When, sir? When the problem is suddenly they are thrown into a situation where it is too hot. The water is too hot. Now they can't manage that. So what to do now? Jump out. Only when you experience such scenarios, you jump out. Otherwise, you are off completely. You don't register. That is why most of us don't register that we are in trouble. Now, when these scriptures, when these masters, they say, we're all in trouble. Now, we sympathize with him. Now, we think something wrong with him, actually. I am not having. There are people who will agree with him. Who are those people, sir? They were just going through that hot water. They have been thrown in that hot water just now. those people immediately agree with him. Correct. What he says is correct. Now, those who are having that slow heat, who are adapting and adjusting and adjusting and adjusting, getting acclimatized, you get so acclimatized to problems, you become so numb, you can't even register what is happening. But in hell, that's not what they do. You are thrown directly into that hot water and you cannot jump out of it. At least that frog had a choice to jump out. Hell means you are in that boiling water, but you cannot jump out. Even if you jump out, you are going to land in what? Another boiling water. From one pot to another pot, you can jump. But that's what one fellow is saying, we have to think out of the box, you're saying. I said, in the room, full of carton boxes in the room, when you jump out of one box, where are you going to land? You're going to land in another box. From one carton box to another carton box, you will land. That's about it. Now, for you to claim that I am going to think out of the box, prerequisite is what? This is the only box I have. There is no other box in the room. Your mind is full of boxes. All that you are going to do is what? Jump from one box to another box. And you think what? I have been released. I have been relieved. I have come out of that box. You are not out of that box, but you are into this new box. By the time you jump out of this new box, finished. This is what happens to all of us. Is in hell, you won't even given a choice to jump out. You're stuck. You're permanently there. Now, what are you going to do? That is a question you have to ask yourself. Now, what am I going to do for my life? How am I to get out of this mess created by this desires? Now, he is giving only this three, desire, anger, greed. You get fear because of desire. All your fear is why? Desire. If there is no desire, there is no fear. A person who doesn't have a desire, he'll never have fear in life. He's fearless. Now, fearlessness doesn't mean immediately you don't, we have a misunderstanding about fear. Now, what is it that you are going to understand as fear is very different. Now, what is fear then? Then you have what's this anger, greed, arrogance, jealousy. All this comes along with that package. Like I say, buy one, get 6 free. It's a package deal. You have one desire, you get this 6 along with that. Krodha, Lobha, Madha, Matsarya, Bhaya, all this lands you in Moha. All the 6 comes along with that. You can't escape. Now, we want to get rid of these things. We all have a lot of study, research goes on in terms of how to handle jealousy, how to handle fear, how to handle anger, how to handle agitations, how to handle stress, how to handle this. All these are all byproducts. And the best part is your mind will immediately cooperate. The moment you say, I'm going to handle my anger, your mind will be with you. Yes, correct, I'm with you, man. Let us work on stress. The moment you say, I'm going to work with reference to jealousy, it will say, correct, you should not have jealousy. Let us work on that. My full cooperation is with you. The moment you return back and tell the mind, I'm going to work on my desires, it will start raising 1,001 objections for it. You can never get cooperation from your mind. See, almost impossible to get it. So long as you're talking about these things, it will say correct, correct. Why? Because the root is still alive. You see, it says, root you are not touching, no. So therefore what? It's okay. It's like, it's like cutting your hair. When you cut your hair, what is your problem? There's no pain, nothing happens. But you have to pluck it, what happens? Huh? Pains. Why? Because you are attacking the root. So long as the root is alive, doesn't make any difference. It's just a question of time. It will rebuild again. It will rework. It will start growing again. It will start coming out again. It will come out. It will come out. You can go on handling. This is what we do in the name of spiritual. So he says, first thing, before you go on to all these things, what you need to do is handle your desires. Now, how am I to handle my desires? Don't say, I will do this, Soham practice Allah. No, it will not work. You can't put the cart before the horse. Not possible. It will not work. You have to put it behind. Same way, you cannot be practicing these things to get rid of this. Now, desire is a masculine disease. The masculine disease cannot be handled through these practices. These practices is not for them. So first you need to do something else. That is what is known as Bahiranga Sadhana. This is known as Antaranga Sadhana, internal practice. Antaranga Sadhana is for feminine disease. Masculine disease is Bahiranga Sadhana, you have to practice. In the verse 27, he gives what is that practice. What is the Bahiranga Sadhana that you have to do? He gives there. Verse 27. And he gives 4 disciplines. That I'm just reading that quickly. Gyeyam Gita Nama Sahasram. Dhyeyam Shripati Rupamajashram. Nyeyam Sajjana Sange Chittam. Dhyeyam Dina Janaya Avittam. Bhagavad Gita and Sahasranama should be chanted. Form of the Lord of Lakshmi always meditated upon. The mind associated with the good and wealth given to the needy. He gives 4 different disciplines here. 4 practices he gives here. First one, he says, is to do this Parayana. Earlier he said Kinchita Gita, right? Study a little Bhagavad Gita. He said earlier. Okay. Now here he is giving a slightly a different angle to it. He says to be chanted. What you have to do, sir? He says first you need to chant the Bhagavad Gita. Chant the Sahasranama. Sahasranama usually referred to this Vishnu Sahasranama. I'll just come back. First, let's see what are the disciplines he gives here. There are 4 disciplines, I said. The first one is with reference to the intellectual one. Then he'll give a discipline for, this is the usual pattern. All throughout the Shastras, we find this pattern. Wherever they talk about these things, they will give disciplines pertaining to these scales. Intellect, buddhi, mind, emotions, actions, body level. Sometimes at the body level, they'll give 2 types. Organs of perception 1 or organs of action 1. So that variations will be there. And then they may go to the material. So material, physical, emotional, intellectual. This is the 4 disciplines he gives. At the intellectual level, he says chant, referring to the Parayana. We'll see a lot of people, doing this Parayana. They keep chanting this on a daily basis. Every day you do the chanting. And he recommends two things here. One is the Bhagavad Gita. Another one is the Sahasranama. Obviously, they must be referring to these two things. Why? Because Shankara has written a commentary for these two things. For the Bhagavad Gita as well as for Vishnu Sahasranama. Even though he has given commentary for Sanat Sujatiyam, even though he has given commentary for the Upanishads, all those things, for Parayana's sake, those things are not coming into picture. Why they don't refer to those things, sir? For Upanishads, Parayanam is not recommended for everyone. Vedic chanting, Parayanam is not recommended. You can learn. It's not that, they don't teach. That's what many people thought. Many people misunderstood this, saying, oh, Vedic things are not taught to. No. It is taught. But you cannot be practicing it on a daily basis. That is not. Because it demands certain disciplines and restrictions. There are a lot of restrictions and disciplines are demanded out of it. Therefore, you can't be doing that as Parayanam. But whereas this non-Vedic chantings were allowed. You can do these things as Parayana on a practice. Parayana means you just do this practice of chanting it again and again and again. Every day you do the chanting. So that practice he gives this as one. This is more of an intellectual discipline. To keep doing that again and again and again, which is what in a very easier language we call it as mananam. Repeating the same thing is also referred as mananam. Even though mananam has many subtler aspects to it, the easiest understanding of mananam is repetition. You go on repeating that same thing again and again. You go on saying the same thing. That is called manana. So what you have to do, sir? You practice this Parayana, first one. Second one he gives is the form of the Lord of Lakshmi always meditate upon. Dheyam Shripati Rupam Ajasram. Now practice this meditated. Dheyam means meditated upon. This is reference to this practice of upasana. This is the mental discipline. Upasana meditate, here. Now here this meditation is not dhyana. Remember, dhyanam is different. This is upasana. See? So there are two different things. This is more of that emotional association here. And what is very interesting is the construction of that words that he is giving, which on what you have to pour your emotions on. You pour your emotions on Shripati, says Shripati Rupam, on the form of God. Even though we keep saying throughout, we keep saying Shankara stands for Nirguna Brahman. There is no form to God in Vedanta. Also they say you have to do this. Why is that? This is for a practice, remember. For a practice purpose you require it. Right. Now for a practice, which Rupa you take? He says Shripati. Now, who is Shripati? Straight away we will say Shripati is what, sir? Vishnu. Why? She is Lakshmi. Pati is Lord. So Shripati is Lord of Lakshmi. There is a pun in that word, Shripati. There is another meaning also for that word, Shripati. Shri has another meaning. One meaning of Shri is virtue, goodness, Mahalakshmi, reference to her, Sri. Another word, another meaning for Sri is poison. The same word Sri has a beautiful two different meanings. One shows wealth, reference to Mahalakshmi. Another meaning for that same word Sri is poison. Now you take, who is Sripati now? Lord of poison. Who is that, sir? You say Shiva. That's why he has a name called Srikanta. You heard that name? Srikanta. Kanta means throat. Sri is what? Poison. The one who has poison in his throat. That is called Srikanta. Yes. There, that word, the meaning of Sri there is what? Not Mahalakshmi. It's not that he is having Mahalakshmi in his throat. No. Then what is it, sir? There it is poison. What poison? All of you should know the story. When they were churning the ocean, right? They kept the Vasuki, the snake, to churn the ocean. And when they started churning, first thing came out is this Hala Hala Visham. This poison came out. And everybody ran away. The Devas ran, the Asuras also got scared and ran away. Everybody ran away, and that poison is consuming the world. They said, what to do now? There is only one fellow who has the capacity to take in that poison. That is Lord Shiva. So they went up to Lord Shiva and they said, we are offering you. What is offering for you? Say Visham. Poison is the offering given to Lord Shiva. Look at the compassion of that man. And this one episode of Shiva, it appears in Ramayana, it appears in Mahabharata, it appears in Bhagavatam, it appears in, every Purana, Vishnu Purana, Skanda Purana, everyone, every Kavi has touched upon it. There is not a single, poet who has not touched upon this one, and each one had given their own version. Exceedingly beautiful. Each one of them have explained it so many different angles. Most touched upon Shiva's story is this story. This one. And Shankara himself has touched upon it actually. In that thing, Saundari Lahari, he is explaining the greatness of the earrings, of Parvati. What is the greatness of that? The dazzling light of that held the poison not to enter inside Shiva. You can imagine what she would be then. It's not her. It's not her actually. It's nothing. Each one, they give their own version. And Shankara says, Shiva did not die, not because of Shiva's glory. Everybody is thinking, it is Shiva's glory. It is not even your glory. Then it is your Tatanga's glory, he says. Is that the earrings of Mahalakshmi, this Parvati, did not allow the poison to poison Shiva. Then what had happened? It just stood there. It did not move. So he consumed it, but he did not swallow it. He has kept it there. He held it. What power a fellow must have had to do that. The impact of that is his throat turned blue. That's why he is referred as Nilakanta. Nila means blue. The poison turned his throat blue color. The one with that blue color, one. Just that name. One of the great devotee of Shiva, his name itself is that. Why? Because he has been chanting only that one word. Neelakantam, 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 that fellow realized. What is it, sir? He is referred as, his name itself is that, Trineelakanta. All that man was doing right through his life was only that. So Sripati, now what I was coming to is this. Okay, now going far away. Too many things. Right. Sripati means one aspect you can take it as Vishnu, or another aspect you can take it as Shiva, depending upon your idea. Whichever is convenient for you, you take it. If you want to take it as this, you take it as this. You want to take it as Vishnu, you take it as Vishnu. Doesn't make any difference. But you have to enjoy it. You say, Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam Patmanabam Suresham Vishwadaram Gagana Sadusham Megavarnam Supang Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Hridhyanagamim De Vishnum Bhavavayagaram Sarvalokaikanath. They describe every part of Vishnu. Part by part you have to cherish. You can't just go, one look, nice, and come back. Then you are not in awe. Like it's like a lover, who looks at the beloved. He would cherish part by part. Bit by bit they will enjoy. They're not going to be just looking and say, very nice, and come back. It's like a lady going to buy a sari. Now, when a man goes to buy, he'll go and look at that, shirt. How is it, man? He'll come back. He'll just go change, come out. How is it looking? Good. Come. He can't think more than that. You see, you need eyes, to see. And then they, latest one is this. They take it in two different lights, natural light, and then, artificial light. And then they say on that, colored light. Because for what you are taking, reception will not happen in the morning. It will happen only in the night, evenings, So the evening, how this will appear. I ask those fellows, have you ever worn your wedding sari to any other wedding? You cannot. Why? You will look odd in that place if you go with that dress. You see, then why? You are going to wear it only that one evening. For that, you spend so much. Madness this is. From our eyes. But for that person, what is it, sir? Every fiber, that texture, that color, that combination, this, that, and what sort of a design, this, every aspect of it they look into. Why? They love it so much. You see, that is what he means here. The form of the Lord of Lakshmi to be meditated upon. And he says, the form means you just don't go there, stand and come back. You should cherish it bit by bit. Like how he explains the beauty of the eyebrow. The eyebrow he explains. And then the eyelashes explains. And on the nail, if you see, you get this, moon-like. You get, that Shankara is describing. You can't believe he is Advaitin. When you read these things, you can't believe he is an Advaitian. How much he must have observed, to look into all these aspects. You see, that is what is referred here as, you think on it, Sripati Rupam. On the Rupa, you must have that thing. This more of devotion. It's that bhavana. You see, you must have that bhavana to look into. You have to go on looking. In Viveka Chudamani, he describes this upasana beautifully. He says, it's like pouring an oil from one container to another container. How it flows. Uninterruptedly it flows, you see. Like that, the flow should be happening. Your feelings should be flowing in the direction. That uninterrupted flow is what is referred. So he says, do this, meditate upon the Lord of Lakshmi. 2, upasana. Then he gives, this is the other one, mind associated with the good. Now he goes back to that basic principle, which he has told already earlier. This Sajjana Sangha, this Satsanga, what he is referring to, is the Satsanga. Meaning, this mind associated with the good means you need to be in association with people who are informed and well conscious, well aware of what is this life is all about. Those who carry that maturity about life, those who carry that understanding about the spiritual path, that is called a satsang. Your ability to maintain that association, contact with those people, that's a physical discipline, given here is this. Then he goes to this material one, wealth given to the needy, right? Charity, dhanam. So 4 things he gives: parayana, then upasana, satsanga, and dhana. These are the 4 bahiranga sadhanas you practice to transcend your desires. After that, sit for Soham practice. You will get that self-knowledge. This is the method he gives. Study this Gayam, chanting this Bhagavad Gita and Sahasranama. This Bhagavad Gita is a study. You have to study that, not just mechanical repetition, please. Not simple chanting is referring to. That is also included here. Remember, it's not that is excluded. That's included. That's the starting point. Starting point is this to practice. People do it entire Bhagavad Gita. Those who can, they do it. Some of them do only a particular chapter, like 15 chapter they do, or the 12 chapter or 11 chapter. Each one has their own things. At least that particular chapter, or if not a chapter, at least few verses. Pick up few verses and learn to practice this Parayanam to be done. You can't do 700 shlokas in a day, because it will take about 2.5 hours for you to do it. Every day you can't be sitting for 2.5 hours. Therefore, he gives a little smaller one, which is the Vishnu Sahasranama, which will take only about half an hour. This Parayanam will not take more than that. Vishnu Sahasranama is another beautiful one, where Yudhishthira asks a pertinent question to Bhishma, pointed one, because Bhishma was teaching various dharmas. So many dharmas he is going on teaching. Abad dharma to be done, what is this Raja dharma, what is this Brahmana dharma, what is this Kshatriya dharma, Vaishya dharma, Shudra dharma. And then he goes on explaining what is a brahmachari, what is a grihastha, what is the Stri dharma, this dharma, that dharma. You name a dharma, he has explained there. There is nothing you will find beyond that. That portion, huge portion that is. After the Mahabharata, one of the biggest parvas of Mahabharata, apart from Adi Parva. This Shanti Parva, huge one. and it spills over to next Parva also. Two Parvas it spills over. Huge one that is. Finally, Yudhishthira asks, "Hey, you taught me so much." The best part is Arjun, Yudhishthira could ask so much to Bhishma. And you need to understand this. You see, Yudhishthira is not an ordinary fellow. You see, if you want to understand Yudhishthira's expertise, knowledge, you go and study this Yaksha Prashna. There is a text called Yaksha Prashna where an Yaksha asks questions to Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira gives a reply. Amazing question. Where, fascinating questions were asked and beautiful replies given by Yudhishthira. So, Yudhishthira is not an ignorant fellow. You see, he is such a knowledgeable man he is. That knowledgeable man is asking many questions on dharma, not on some other subject. The one who is personified as Dharmaputra, son of Dharma himself. He's a personification of Dharma. This man, he is asking questions on Dharma. Various dharmas he is asking. Finally, he asks, see, forget about all this. Tell me that one dharma which supersedes all dharmas you have taught me so far. And so many things people teach. Kim ekam daivatam loke kim vapyekam parayanam. Who is that one God to be worshipped? Who's that? Bhishma laughs at him. He says, "Idiot, the fellow standing next to you, he's standing next to you, are asking this question to me. Lusapani," says. What's wrong with you, man? He says. So, what is that, sir? That is the time he gives out this how to worship Vishnu, Sripati. For that he gives 1,000 names. Lord, he says, do that Parayana. When you are doing that Parayanam of, this, Vishnu Sahasranama, Parayana, retain the form of the Lord in the mind. Visualize that form as though he is there in front of you. Now, how do you visualize him, sir? Give him every aspect. They go piece by piece and give them that. Give that form, which is a beautiful discipline. This Upasana, when you practice only, you get a hang of it. Initially it will look, very mechanical, dry, boring, nothing interesting in fact. That is why these people had this practice of visiting various temples. You go to various temples, you see God in different temples. Something will strike you there. You go to Triplicane, this Parthasarathi, temple you go. That deity looks totally different. Guruvayur you go, totally different. Same Krishna only. Udupi you go, very different. You see, each deity has different one. Why? Because one's mind is different, you see. Which one you are going to visualize, you visualize like that. There is no standard rule as such that, how you have to, sir. That's what we say. Each one has their own way of visualizing it. Now, you visualize it either as Vishnu, or if you want to visualize Shiva, you visualize. That means what? It doesn't make any difference. You take Ayyappa, you can visualize that. You can take it as, Ambal, take it like that. You take as Kali. You take as Ganesha. You take, as Subramanya. Any form you take, who cares? We don't bother about all that. You say, do you have the capacity to retain the continuity of it? Continuously it should flow, uninterruptedly. It's very difficult unless you have that love. That's what, Narada defends bhakti. He says, what is bhakti? He says, bhakti is that one moment of maddening love that you have for God is called bhakti, he says. It's that moment of maddening love. You go mad. You can't be normal. That's why all devotees look, little off cases in our eyes. In our eyes, they will look like that. So you say, but what is important is, do you want to look sane in the eyes of God or in the eyes of the world? That choice, you have to make a choice. Now, if you want to look sane in the eyes of the world, you will be insane with reference to God. You want to look sane in the eyes of God, you will appear insane with reference to the world. Now, the choice is there for you to make. It says, keep that going. So, first two disciplines should go hand in hand. That is why he gives Vishnu Sahasranama and Sripati Rupa. Why he is giving is this study, reflection, analysis, thinking, reasoning, inquiry should go along with devotion. There is an integration of your inner personality. First requirement is to create your inner integration. Now, today the problem most of us have is thinking goes one direction, feeling goes in another direction. Hardly we experience in life where thinking and feeling going hand in hand together. They don't walk together. It's not together. There is no integration at all. Since internally there is no integration, that is what is causing so much of disturbance and agitation to you, which we don't understand. Therefore, we attribute it to the world. We think it is because of the world I am agitated. It is because of the situation I am agitated. It is because of the people I am agitated. It is because of something outside me is the cause of my agitation, is what we think. Essentially, the problem is not that. Essentially, the problem is there is no integration. How do you get that integration, sir? Study plus devotion. Our problem is, if devotion, no study. You start studying, no devotion. To maintain these two is the real problem of a student. That's why I say, being a teacher is the easiest thing to do. Being a disciple is the most difficult thing in the spiritual path. That's why today we have a lot of teachers, no student. There was a time once, we had a lot of students. Teachers were rare. Now today, Kali Yuga, no, everything will be ulta. Lot of teachers are available now. Everybody is a teacher now. All that you require is to have one Zoom's, account. Have one, start teaching everything. You don't even need Zoom now. YouTube is there, free. Uploading free, downloading free, everything is free. Everyone is a teacher. Now, today we have to teach these people how to select a student, not how to select a guru. Too many gurus are there. Teaching is easy, nothing extraordinary. All that you have to do is what? 7 o'clock started, that's all. Om, start. 8 o'clock, finish, that's all. Problem solved. You can blabber anything. Doesn't make any difference. See, but being a disciple is very difficult, I tell you. This is my experience. I've seen both. Teaching also, I've seen that also. Disciple is a torture. But once you get a hang of it, There is nothing relaxing in life than being a disciple, being a student. That's all. He says. There. Create that integration internally. That inner integration will naturally express itself. You would gravitate naturally towards something. That's what he is referring here as Sajjana. The Satsanga, what he is referring here is slightly different angle here. A slight different shade he gives. The shade here is your natural gravitation happening because of that integration happened internally. You will choose to associate only with those people. It's not that you struggle to choose them, to associate with them and all that. No. Now, your natural gravitation will be in that direction, which is where many will have a lot of problems. See, it has a lot of side effects. Now, I'm not going into the side effects and all that. Okay. But what happens is this. Now, gradually you will develop this. Gradually you will start moving in the other direction of people who have this knowledge, who are seekers, who have this understanding. You gravitate towards them automatic. That automatic gravitation will further get influenced, because essentially one thing happens to all of us, that is your thoughts, your emotions, your values, your ideas, ideologies, everything gets influenced by people who are proximate. Your thoughts are influenced by the proximity of that person, of those people. So you are already having a little with you and you move in that direction. When you move in that direction, what will happen? His things also gets influenced. You borrow that extra power, extra strength. You are having it with you a little. Now, when you borrow that, you have a lot more to handle. Right? You will have tremendous energy, tremendous sharpness. Your ability to function in the world would be effortless. Now, effortless functioning, at the same time you are evolving. Along with that, your identification, all that is happening. Consequence of all those things is what, sir? Your actions become more perfect. Your efforts, your actions will become effortless. Effortlessly, you will be performing perfect actions, means success, profit, result. You get lot of results. You earn. When you earn more, what you do, sir? You don't keep it. You distribute it. That distribution is what is referred here as charity. So effortlessly you earn. Whatever the earning is, doesn't make any difference. It's not that, first you should become super rich and then only you should start doing charity and all that. There's no such thing, please. Wherever you are, you can do it. Provided two conditions are met. Condition number one, for you to practice charity, only two conditions are needed. Condition number one, effortlessly you should earn. Your earning should be effortless, number one. Number two, your needs should become very less. Thereby, whatever you possess will appear abundant to you. Whatever you have will look too much for you. Now, what am I going to do with all this? What to do? You can't keep carrying it. It's a waste. It's a dead weight. I'm not interested in carrying all these things. So what you do? Distribute it. That abundance to be felt within. First requirement is that. You have to feel that abundance. Then your efforts are so much so, there is a lot of surplus you carry with you. How you are able to have so much of production? You have become so productive. You become so dynamic. This is the consequence of spiritual growth. Remember, your actions should become more powerful, more dynamic you become. How is it, sir? Because integrated being. There is no conflict internally, which means you are having concentration. Concentrated work is effortless work. Effortless work, you can do more. Today, work is a burden for us. You are not able to do more. What is the proof? Weekends, vacations, holidays. This holiday, that holiday, vacation, retirement. You know, in Indian system, there is no retirement concept we have ever had in this country. There's no retirement concept. We had only one place where you are incapable of working anymore. Then you don't do that work. That's all. There's no retirement. Bhishma, you know how old he was. He was in the battlefield, fighting along with all these fellows. The Upanishads pray, stating what? Let me keep living life, performing actions for 100 years. No retirement. Today, 35, 40, the fellows start thinking of retirement. Why? Work is a burden for you now. Everyone's work is a burden for them. Why, sir? Now, we think it's to do with the work. No, it's not the work. Then the disintegration internally, the differences that I'm carrying within me, that is causing that one. So, through these spiritual disciplines, what will happen? You become concentrated. You develop concentration. When you have concentration, your ability to produce becomes more. Parallelly, along with that, your needs are reducing. Your production is increasing. Your requirements are reducing. What will you do with the produce? You share it with people. That sharing is what is referred as dhyayam. Strictly speaking, charity is not accepted. It is sharing. Remember, charity is giving, they say. No, it's not giving. You share it. With whom? No, we also share. Yeah, correct, sir. I'm also sharing. Sharing with whom? Sharing with our people. That's why immediately he says, share it with the needy. Now, needy immediately don't take a stand. Oh, poor people immediately. Now, needy means who doesn't need money? Tell me. Show me one man in the world who says, I don't need money. Huh? No one will say that. You see. Now, needy means everybody is needy. Don't take it as, poor people. Now, we take them as poor. No, it's not poor. Then what is it, sir? It's not even your family and friends. I'm sharing. Yeah. I write my will. My will is written. On whom? Family. That's all. Now I have seen a lot of people have family trust also. Why? There is no trust amongst them. That is why they have family trust. That is called as family trust. I say there is no trust between you two fellows. And then what trust you are creating, man? Trust itself means what? I don't trust you, you don't trust me. That is why we create a trust. Where? Family trust. You say. Family trust. See, you can't believe, what they will do. Suppose if she divorces me, one fellow is telling me, suppose if she divorces me, she will take all the money. So instead of all that, I want to give it to my sons only. So how to do that? Lawyer gave me this advice. What is that? Create a family trust and transfer all the money there. And the trust beneficiary is going to be who? My son. Family friends is not a charity. That is not this Dina Jana. Dina Jana. Yes. Dina Jana is not that. Then what is that Dina Jana means? Homework. Workout. Everything I can't be telling you people. Too much you can't be doing. It'll be too heavy. What is Dina Jana? Now definitely you can't say poor people, nor you can say family and friends. Now what is he meaning by saying distribute this? Why you need to distribute wealth? It's an automatic effect. You have this, you feel that I have a surplus with me. So what am I going to do with it, man? Distribute it. You distribute. That is, you do it not because you are low, I am high, I am big, you are low, I am just giving it to you. Then it is not. That's why we call it as sharing. It's not to be treated as charity. It is to be gift, we say. You exchange gifts amongst equals. You see, gifting it is. That doesn't mean like what we do in the marriages. One fellow will make a note. Munuswami, 501 rupees. How many people came for the wedding and all, they make a note. 6 of them came for the wedding, 501 they gave. 2 of us only going to go to that wedding. Therefore, we will give 151 rupees. Useless. This is not the way you do it. Then it is transaction, business. You see, I do to you, you do to me. This is, that is not what is referred here as charity. It's a fascinating idea. Who is the needy? When you say needy person, why is he putting that condition there? What do you mean by that? What does he mean by that, needy? We'll see it in the next class. Till then, think about it. Thank you.